it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair. My favorite thing about the holidays, decking out my whole house. And it's not a competition, but if it was, I would totally win the season with Wayfair. Giant outdoor inflatable Santa, got it on Wayfair. Trees, lights, and ornaments in every style and color, yep, got those on Wayfair. Garland, accent pillows, cozy throws, nutcrackers, Wayfair, Wayfair, Wayfair. When it comes to hosting, Wayfair's got me covered there too. I got a brand new dining table set that fits the whole family, sheets and towels for extra guests, and even the cutest holiday bed sheets for the kiddos. All thanks to Wayfair. And the best part, I got it all shipped fast and free. It's a Wayfair holiday miracle, y'all. I'm not saying there's a champion of Christmas or anything, but if there was, it'd be the lady with the year-round Christmas village who shops at Wayfair. That would be me. For everything festive and just your style, all delivered with fast and free shipping, visit wayfair.com or download the Wayfair app to totally win this season. But again, it's not a competition.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Y'all, Stages is now sponsored by BetterHelp, and I couldn't be more excited because I love therapy. So I encourage you, if you've had a tough year and a half, why don't you give them a shot? You can find a therapist that you can connect with. Their resource is thousands of therapists, well-trained and experienced. You can keep looking until you find someone that you click with. They have customized online therapy. They do offer videos, but they also offer phone and live chat sessions. So you don't even have to be seen. You can only be heard. What are you waiting for? Go to BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/stages. And for our cast members, you get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/stages. Go, go, go. Go find your healing. Go find your happy. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. That's HELP. Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks. Welcome to Stages Podcast,
where we're bringing creation and connection to center stage.
First of all, the material to hear Lin-Manuel, I remember the first day we all got around the table and Lin goes, I know you guys don't know any of the songs yet, so I'm just going to sing them all. And he started and it was like lights up on Washington Heights. And it was just like this light around. Yeah. It was like, who is this guy? And how can I, be a part of this forever?
Mandy Gonzalez is one of the names you hear mentioned so often when discussing prominent artists in contemporary musical theater. Aida in The Heights, Wicked, Hamilton. She is a strong, clear, and amplified voice at the forefront of bringing attention to Latinx performers and helping to open more doors on their behalf. She cares as much about her hearth and home as she does about her career. She cares as much about inspiring and supporting young people as much as she does her career. And that is why I respect her so greatly as a mom, a wife, an actor, an author, an activist, a cancer survivor, a kick-ass supporter, fellow of the Woman Artists. Please welcome to Stages Podcast, Mandy Gonzalez. Mandy Gonzalez, can we have you to the stage, please? Mandy, to the stage.
Oh, hi guys. Oh, that was amazing. Thank
you. You are so many things to so many people. And right off the bat, does that feel like a huge and although a privilege, but maybe perhaps a heavy responsibility, or is it freeing to you?
That's a great question. I think for me, it's very freeing because when I started in this profession or wanting to be, a singer, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to use my voice and sing as much as I could in my life. My dream was always to do something that could change the world. I had no idea where that journey would take me. But the fact that I, along with my stories, have been able to move people it warms my soul, and it just makes me, I guess, more motivated for what's next and to keep going. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your cancer survivor journey. Yeah, I too am a cancer survivor, so I like to hear about what you went through, and because you're so vivacious and full of life and healthy and strong now. So,
well, thank you. My journey started with my first mammogram.
Your first mammogram.
My very first mammogram. I went and I got my mammogram. I went for my annual checkup. And at that time I was in Hamilton. I was working 8 shows a week. I'm a mom. I was busy, but I was like, I don't think I've been to my annual OBGYN appointment. I need to make that appointment. And when I went in, she had said, you're at the age now where you can get a mammogram. But you don't have a family history. So it's really up to you. If you want to get one.
How old were you?
I was 40, almost 41.
Okay.
And so she said, it's really up to you. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get one. And so I got a mammogram, and on the mammogram, they found that I had dense breasts. And so I got a call afterwards. And
shadowing. Did they say we saw some shadowing in there? What was the terminology?
No, dense. They're like, dense. Her breasts are dense. And I said, okay. And they also saw a little cyst. And so they wanted me to come back in 6 months. They weren't alarmed by it, but they wanted me to come back in 6 months so they could check that out to see if it grew or if anything changed with it. So I got that call between shows on a Wednesday. And so I immediately called my mom in a panic and was like, well, what does this mean? Because you're already a little nervous getting your first mammogram. And I said, what does this mean? And my mom's like, don't worry about it. I have dense breasts. We all have dense breasts. And so I was just like, okay, I have dense breasts. This is what it is. And then I went in for 6 months later. Again, I was busy, and this thought came into my head as I think it's been 6 months, but nobody's called me for an appointment, so maybe nothing's wrong and I don't have to go in. And then I got a letter that said, it's your 6-month appointment, please come in. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go in. And my husband said, why are you waiting? This is your life. This is real. You have to go. And so thank God for him. Cause I went in, and I had another mammogram, and then all of a sudden they had me wait, and then I had to have a 3D mammogram, and then they had me wait some more, and I started getting nervous,
Were you alone, Mandy? Or?
I was alone, yeah. And then they had asked me to come in for an ultrasound to do that. And so I just noticed that they were spending a lot of time with me. And I was in that ultrasound for a good 45 minutes. And, I start talking because I'm a talker. And the ultrasound technician, she said, I don't want you to be alarmed, but they do see something. And they're going to tell you that they're going to want to do a biopsy, but don't worry. And automatically I just start crying. And then the radiologist came in, and everybody was like, why are you crying? And it's one of those things that happen, I think, when you're an actor and you have these emotional things where you're like, maybe I shouldn't be crying, maybe it's just because I'm emotional, but I was scared. And so I got an appointment for a biopsy. It happened that day. And then they said it would be 3 days and they'd let me know what the biopsy were. So I went through all those things of what you go through in those 3 days of, is it not? And I remember my husband and I went to lunch, and I finally got the phone call. The doctor had said, we're sorry to tell you, but the cells are cancerous. And it was like the floor dropped out. Immediately, my thoughts went to my daughter, and I'm going to die. And what am I going to do? And she's going to be alone, and all of these things. And
at this point, how old was your little girl?
So this was now 2 years ago. She was 7. I think the biggest thing that I've learned about the cancer journey is the scariest parts are the unknown. So I didn't know what stage it was. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I'm not from a family of doctors, a medical family. So I didn't know the protocols of things, but I learned really fast, and my husband's father was a pediatrician, but my husband is very comfortable in that setting. And so it was like, okay, let's get a second opinion. My husband did all the calls to find the best possible doctors for me. But I was crazy because I was in Hamilton. I had this concert coming up with the Philly Pops. I was going to be a soloist for the first time, I was like, look, we can do the surgery, but can you make sure that it happens in time for my concert with the Philly Pops? Because, this is a big deal for me. Like, it was just crazy. And I had a lumpectomy and I had stage 1 breast cancer. It was found that my cancer that was growing rapidly. And so I had to also have chemotherapy as well as radiation. So I had my lumpectomy. I did my show with the Philly Pops. I went through so much emotionally. And then in January, I was preparing to start chemotherapy. And I did. I took a week off of Hamilton and I went right back to work. But that's the beginning of my cancer journey. And then in January, I started chemo. I started hearing rumblings about a pandemic that was happening. I started hearing it at the hospital. All of a sudden, it was like everybody was fine. We don't know what it is. And then all of a sudden, everybody had masks on and gloves and didn't want to touch me or check me. And it was very isolating and lonely. And then Broadway shut down. And it was like, okay, in some ways, it was a good thing that happened for me because I could just concentrate on my health.
Feeling.
Yeah. And so I finished chemo. They're like, stay home. But, cancer patients have to keep going because you want to live. And so I finished chemo in April. And then I started radiation in May at Sloan Kettering. And I'm happy to say that from my surgery, I am 2 years cancer survivor, cancer free.
That's amazing.
And I didn't realize, and I'm sure Mary Lee, you can understand that when you go through cancer, nobody tells you like, okay, now you're cancer free and now you're a survivor, you're a thriver, or what are you? Because there's all this different terminology. Do you want to be public about it? Do you want to be private? Nobody talks to you about these things. So I had to figure it out. But I decided that I'm a survivor. What was I going to do next? Being a survivor, it's kind of like, okay, well, that's it. That means cancer is no longer part of my life. I didn't realize that the emotional healing that would also have to happen. So that's what I'm in process with. I think at this point of my cancer journey, not being able to have a support group to go to or, because I am a talker, I think that would have been beneficial, not being able to go to PT and those kind of things. I've been able to find those people through different organizations and to help me on that road to healing through that trauma.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing you learned from that whole experience? I mean, that's a huge experience. And to go through it really isolated, like you said, makes it even harder. So what would you say is the big lesson that you took away?
I say this to a lot of young people. I think that it's something that I don't practice enough, which is that, I probably learned it from a therapist. Your life is like a pie and there's all these different pieces that are important, but you have to make sure that you're fulfilling all of those pieces to feel fulfilled. And I think before I was diagnosed with cancer, I was just going nonstop with my career. And it was like something would open and all of a sudden I would just go, yes. I would say yes all the time. And I think that I've learned through this time that my private life is so, so important. And my life is important. Just, taking a walk with my dogs and those kind of things are an accomplishment in themselves. And so it was about appreciating, it's so cliche, but appreciating the small things in your life that are just as great. That's the biggest thing that I think I've learned.
I think for me, what I took away from that experience was when you get that kind of news, your brain immediately races to all these places in the future that it could go, might go, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to my son? What's going to happen to this? What's going to happen to that? And your brain goes to all these places. And what I learned from that experience, and I was able to share it with a couple of other people who I talked to after who got cancer, who called me hysterical, and I kind of talked them through. And my advice to them was, for now, for the next hour, you get to go to all those places. You get to cry, go to every place that's terrifying in the future that you can go to. And then I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to write down the facts that are facts right this minute.
Right.
And anytime your brain starts to go to that scary place, just sit down and read your facts. Because it's not real. You're creating it in your brain. Come back to what is right in front of you right now. And that practice worked for me really well. And my husband would bring me back every time I would kind of spiral. He'd give me like, okay, spiral for 20, and then I'm coming back and we're going to come back, and I
think it's creative people. I think it's creative people. It's so easy for us to make up a story, to tell a story, and for it to go all the way, we are full out.
Strong.
It is. And so I think that that's great advice, is just to, you allow yourself to have those moments, but in 20 minutes, you've got to make dinner, or you're going to go get your nails done, or you're going to read a book, or you're going to do something to live.
Have you ever heard of Chris Carr?
No.
She wrote Crazy Sexy Cancer.
No,
she's an incredible story. You really need to look her up. I mean, she's amazing. I've actually reached out to her a couple of times to come on the podcast because I think she's incredible. She was a young actress in New York. She was in her 20s. She was partying. She got diagnosed with this really rare cancer that was creating tumors all over her body. And they basically told her there was nothing they could do for her. And so she said, okay, well, I'm just going to take control of my own life then. And she got all these fancy wine glasses, and every morning she would make herself green juices, and she would drink green juices. And she documented her whole journey through her healing, through her chemo, through all of it, turned it into a documentary called Crazy Sexy Cancer. She is now something like 20 something years out. She's built an empire around natural healing. She's amazing.
I will check her out too.
Yeah. I will definitely check her out.
She's amazing.
Incredible. Yeah.
I want to go back, because when you are still in sort of the shock of it all, and you're arranging for the concert, being the solo with the pops, and you're standing on stage, how did you compartmentalize your thoughts so that you could remember lyrics and you could be efficient with your banter? I would think that my thought process would just be like, a moth in a cathedral, like everywhere.
I think working saved me. I think if they had taken away my ability to sing, if I had let cancer do that, I think then I would have let cancer win in some way. And I said that cancer can have part of me, but it's not going to take all of me. And so when I would go to the show, I just felt like, okay, I can just do this. I know how to do this. I'm in control. I know how to use my voice this way. And, I had a concert. I had to go to LA to do a concert between my diagnosis and my surgery. And I was so distraught, but in some ways it was like, oh, I can see my whole family. That was one of the hardest things, is that I couldn't be with my mom or my sister during my journey because of the pandemic, and so that was really hard. And I think that when I was on stage, it was like I was home. What that's like. It's like when you sing, or when you are focusing on the music, or you're focusing on telling a story and the audience and how much you love them for just being there, for buying tickets. It takes that, oh, poor me, feeling away, which is still there. It's just like, okay, you can be there, but just wait a minute, because right now this person, this person has gone through it. And that's what I've learned, even just coming back to theater and coming back to Broadway, is everybody has gone through a journey of some sort during this time, during this pandemic. We have all been through the storm, but on separate boats, And so not that anybody's journey was harder or, easier. I just think that there is this kind of empathy that happens now more than ever because of everything that everybody's been through. But when I'm on stage, I have that empathy that comes through me for other people. And when I'm writing, when I am talking to young people, it's that feeling that I can leave a little bit of myself behind. And so I think singing really, it saved me.
Fearless, which is your name of your album, which is your YA book.
Yes.
Which you have an entire squad, a fearless squad. This mission and campaign actually came before your cancer diagnosis, right?
Yes, it
So
did.
what was the genesis of that word, of that extreme and powerful word of fearless?
Oh gosh, Steph, it's crazy because I created this squad and I didn't realize that in the end, I would be the one who would need it the most.
Isn't that the way?
Because I created it for other people, because I had young people, back when we started on Broadway, people could write to you. They could write to you letters. It took time, snail mail. It was like I wrote them back if they had feelings, but now everything is immediate. Right. DMs. I always leave my DMs open if anybody wants to contact me. And I had a lot of letters from young people about feelings of loneliness, feelings that they didn't belong. And so I thought, well, if you don't belong, you can be part of my squad, and we're the Fearless Squad. Who's with me?
Did that start with Elfie? Did you receive a lot of outreach? When
I
you were
absolutely did.
Me too.
I absolutely did. And I think a lot of it started with Nina, with playing Nina Rosario, and playing that character that was the first generation American and the first to go to college, and feeling that sense of determination, not just for herself, but for her family. And when she lets people down, like what that feels like. And so I had a lot of young people, even today, that come to me and say, I'm the first in my family to go to college. And, I struggled with that and it was hard, but I made it. And this song really helped me, and that just means the world to me. But I think it started with Nina, and then to go from Nina to Elfie, and her fearlessness, but also her vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Both of those characters, how they were able to reach through to young people of all ages, so that they could feel a little bit braver. It continues with Angelica, and I've been very fortunate, to play these incredible women.
So you look at the canon of contemporary musical theater and you're like, oh, wow, she did that. Oh, she was a part of that. She was in an indelible, a part of this creation. And in fact, that rolls me right into being part of Lin-Manuel Miranda's chosen family, almost like he has a repertory company of people that inspire him and he loves to work with, and you all have a shorthand with each other. Mm-hmm. What an awesome privilege and beautiful family to be a part of. Did that really just start with an open audition, and since then a relationship, a bond has been formed?
I had done my first show, original show in New York, was the show called Dance of the Vampires, which was like a huge bomb.
I was there Christmas Eve. I saw Christmas Eve.
Yes. And, and I was 24 when I did that show. And then I went on and I did another show, and it was called Lennon, and it was based on the life of John Lennon. And again, it was a show that, we loved, but it didn't make it. And during that run on Broadway, when I was in Lennon, I got a call from my agent that said, there's this young composer. He's Latino, and he's looking to cast an all Latin cast. It's a Latin musical. Would you want to go meet him and the team in the basement of the drama bookshop? And I was like, well, if you're an actor in New York, of course you've been to the drama bookshop, because that's where you get all your new material, where you can read plays. But I never knew there was a basement. It's like the Alamo. Like, who knew? It's like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But I was like, I said, yeah, of course I'll go. And I went to the basement of the drama bookshop, and that's where I met Lin-Manuel Miranda and Tommy Kail. I had already knew Alex Lackmore because I did the first workshop in New York of Wicked, the musical. I was in the ensemble, but I met them and we sang some stuff, and I think Bill Sherman was there, and they said, would you want to be a part of the reading? And I was like, yeah, okay. I got to the reading. That's where I met Chris Jackson for the first time, and we sang together. Wilson Cruz played my brother, Lincoln. And that's where the journey kind of began. And it all of a sudden, I was in a room with other people of the Latinx, Latina, Latinos community for the first time, where it wasn't just one of us, it was all of us. And that was so exciting. It was so exciting. First of all, the material, to hear Lin-Manuel. I remember the first day, we all got around the table and Lin goes, I know you guys don't know any of the songs yet, so I'm just going to sing them all. And he started, and it was like, lights up on Washington Heights. And it was just like this light
explosion
around. Yeah. It was like, who is this guy? And how can I, be a part of this forever? And we all felt that way, and we believed in this show. We believed in Tommy and Kiara and everybody, and we became a family. And then, we went into workshop mode, and we added more family members, Karen Olivo, Olga Meredith, and, and then we moved to Broadway. It was just like a dream, an incredible dream. And I have to say that friendship, that collaboration has continued through all parts of my life. Some people have remained my best friends through that time, and everybody was there for me when I went through breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And, Tommy was the first person that I called to let him know that was going on. And it was like, okay, we're here for you. And Lin-Manuel, it was the same. Like, everybody was there. And I don't know if I would have been able to get through what I got through without that family that I have.
Incredible. When I watched you on the documentary, which, by the way, who had that idea? Who said, young composer right out of college?
Oh, gosh.
Who decided, let's invest in documenting this from literally day one until they get to Broadway? Because that sort of insight and foresight was so genius, because now looking back and you watch that documentary, it's like you're watching these stars being made in real time. And it's beautiful and exciting.
Oh, it's incredible. And I remember when they told us that it was going to happen off Broadway, we had already had people following us. Andrew Freed and Paul Bosmowski were following us a little bit off Broadway, but not all of a sudden. They were like, these guys have been here and this is what we're planning to do. But I have no idea whose idea it was. But watching everybody from that show, watching their lives grow, and, the stardom that Lin-Manuel has achieved and all the friends that he's taken along with him. It just feels so wonderful to see. And from the first moment I met him, that I met all of those people, I knew that they were going to change the world. And to see that they did is, I just feel so proud. Yeah. I went to see In the Heights. It was the first time I was in the movie theater since pandemic that I'd seen people since I went through all my cancer stuff. But it was just like, wow, I was watching it. And when I was watching it with the whole cast, the original cast, and I was just like, look what he was able to do. He had this idea, and here it is on screen, and he went all the way. And I just think, like, sometimes I think about it and I think about him, and I'm just like, I'm constantly in awe.
Not only is he a really genius, but he is the epitome of fearless vulnerability, because he
absolutely.
is exactly who he is. And he is utterly unafraid to get out there and express the enthusiasm for what he's doing and the vision. I remember hearing that story about when Obama had invited him to the White House, and he wanted him to do something from In the Heights. And he said, no, I have this new thing. And it wasn't even a thing yet. He had like one song, and it's just said, boy, that's fearless. And talk about, like, where do you find that trust in truly who you are?
Because saying that he was utterly unafraid, I don't know if we can say that. He might have been scared beyond belief, but he worked past the fear into the fearless. And that, to me, is how I define fearless. Because, sometimes I find words coming out of my mouth, even though my insides are complete jello, right? The fear is really settling hard, and it's being noisy in my brain and trying to shape a different path, when my mouth and my heart are going a different path. And I thought, I did it. I could have easily listened to this voice, or I could have easily listened to the jello and taken a different path.
Right.
But moving past that fear and finding the right words to that other place, that's when I feel successful. That's when I feel truly brave, you know?
That's
It's
life.
really interesting because when you hit those moments in your life too, you know, when you're writing that it's almost like a different vibrational level or something. Mm-hmm. And when you jump on that, even though one part of your brain is going, you're crazy, another part of you is saying, no, I got this. And you don't even know why you know it. But right. And he seems like he has access to that vibrational level in a way that most people don't.
I agree. Yeah.
I've seen, you know, throughout my career, I've been very lucky to work with some incredible people. You know, my first job, I was a backup singer for Bette Midler, and I went on the road with her, and I was but to be able to watch somebody in process like that, to watch somebody be so vulnerable, incredibly strong, but she was the boss, you know, and to watch a woman take on that role, you know, where every city that we went to, she would have her writer get all the papers from that city, and she would have a new monologue every night. But to be able to see somebody like that from the beginning of my career take those kind of risks and chances, it's just like, oh, I can do that too.
Gives you permission.
Yeah. To see our heroes, you know, that we grew up with. I mean, I loved her so much from everything that I've seen. To see that, it's just kind of like, oh, but to also see that vulnerable side of like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. And I saw all of those things with her. And, you know, I feel very lucky to have seen that.
But I want to go back to being a harlot for a second, because we have another friend who was a harlot.
Yes.
Camila Marshall. I don't know if you worked with her. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I know Camila.
She was telling us about her audition, and she said she had to go in and tell a joke. That's right. Did you have to do that?
Tell a joke?
No, I did not have to tell a joke. And I should just clarify, I was not a harlot. Camila was definitely a harlot. I was a singer I was a pit singer. So I was her backup singer.
Oh, did not even know there was a
difference.
I didn't know either.
It's like standby understudy. No, it's, exactly. What it is there's the 3 harlots, and this was the Millennium Tour. So I sang with the band, and then I also had crosses that I made. Yep. I got to dance because it was a bigger show because it was the Millennium. Yep. So I got to do even more, which was so fantastic. I had to wear, fishnet stockings with the G-string. My dad was at the show. Thank God I couldn't afford to get them close up seats, you know, so they were like further in the back. But I think about it now, I was 19. I'm like, I must have looked amazing.
Oh, you so look amazing. Oh my gosh. What did you guys, I think I saw you at Madison Square Garden then.
Oh yeah. We performed the Garden. She put us up. I mean, she's just the best. And she put us up at the Plaza. Is it the Plaza? Yeah.
Nice.
The Plaza Hotel when it was still a hotel, and now it's like apartments. Right. But you know, I really got to see what it was like. And, you know, I was on a tour bus for the first time with people that have been doing this for so long, but I never had to tell a joke. I did, you know, I went to an open call, and that's how I got the job. I was in college.
19,
I went to an open call and I got the job. And so I had to dance. I got like an outfit from Capezio, a 2-piece. And I was like, you know, dancing my heart out. I had to sing a 3-part harmony, you know, all different parts. And then they brought Bette in for the last day. And she came in and she was wearing like this gorgeous, like green suit, and she had glasses. And I was like, oh my God, like I had no idea Bette Midler wore glasses. Like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm seeing the real her. And she came in and she just sat there. It was the same like when Yoko Ono came in, and like she had glasses on too. And she was just like, okay, show me what's up. And I sang for her. And I remember I was singing against another woman who had worked for her as a backup singer. And she came up to us, she got out of her seat and she came up to us. She goes, can you sing that up the octave? And the woman couldn't do it, the other woman. And I was like, you know, and then I can. Yeah. And she looked at me and she was like, okay. And I got the job, you know, but that was my test with Bette Midler was, you know, can you sing up the octave?
And most women would be like, no, but I'll tell a joke.
No, but we both tried in front of each other. We both tried these 2 of us, you know, it's like old school, you know, They don't do that anymore. They put you in a closed room and they're like, okay, let's do it together. It's different.
Mama, if it's Yoko and Bet and Elton John, what was that experience like?
I never met,
really? Elton
I never
make
met
his way to the theater or a rehearsal
No,
studio? Okay.
I never met him. But that experience, working for Disney Theatrical happened because I did a show off Broadway called Eli's Coming. Based on the music of Laura Nyro.
Oh yeah, you were well awarded for that one. You were
yes, and that starred like unknown Anika Noni Rose, myself, Judy Kuhn was a part of that, Ronell Bay, Diane Paulus was our director, and that started my journey here in New York because it was acclaimed at the Vineyard Theater. People from Disney Theatrical came to see that show, and therefore asked me to come and audition to be a standby for Adina at Aida. And that all rhymes, Dina, Aida. But I did, and I got that job, and I was such a huge Rent fan. Yeah. Rent was like my life. I remember waiting at Sam Goody for that double, I think it was a cassette at that time. I'm like aging myself. But I remember waiting for it and then getting that job and working with Adina and just trying to act like super cool. Like it's no big deal. Like I'm her standby. Like, hey D, but she was so nice. She was so nice to me. And I'll never forget that, that really, again, was a lesson that I learned on how to treat people, that regardless of what position they're in, everybody's important. And I learned that from her because that's how she treated me. And she taught me a lot of things as well. But she was just wonderful.
Can we talk a little about your book? Did you write it for your daughter?
Yes. I started writing more. I started writing from a young age, and then I started writing more when my daughter was born. I started to create stories for these certain characters. And it just continued. And I met with some people at some different agencies and literary agencies. And I got a lot of great feedback, notes. I applied those and I kept writing. And then I created a Fearless Squad, and I continued to write my stories. And then I met my literary agent, and I had said, look, I wrote these stories. I met her randomly at a book launch for another writer. And I said, I have these stories. Would you want to read them? The story that I went with is the story of Monica Garcia, a talented 7th grader who loves to sing and dreams of a life on Broadway. And along with her abuelita, you follow her journey from a small town in California, to opening night on Broadway. And on the way, she meets her Fearless Squad, Relly, Hudson, and April. And together they learn that anything is possible, especially on Broadway. And so it's really become a Fearless series because I just finished the second book. And I'm on to the third and then the fourth. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it'll have a story for each of the characters. So the first story really is Monica's story, and it brings on all of those things that I experienced first coming to New York. With my mom, I wish that it had been my abuelita, because my abuelita, I'm Mexican American as well as Jewish, but my family came over from Mexico, and they worked very hard on the farm. And my dad grew up working in the farm. And I just always remember my abuelita as always working. Mm-hmm. She would get up in the morning and make everybody their meals, make homemade tortillas. She would make me flour tortillas because I was a brat. And and then she would also go into the fields and work with them and side by side. And I always would dream about what would it be like if I could just take her away for, a weekend to New York, and we could have this experience together. And so because we never got to do that, I created it. And
that's so sweet.
That's really sweet. And so it was so important for me to for people to learn about Monica and her heritage. And the second book follows Relly Morton, who is inspired by my best friend, Darrell Guerin Moultrie. We met during Aida in the swing room. We shared a mirror, and he has stayed my best friend ever since, and he has become a renowned choreographer. This follows his story, so it takes you into Harlem and into the world of tap dance, which I'm obsessed with.
Wow.
And
do you find it's a bit more challenging when writing for the other characters? Are you having him interject and give you some thoughts and emotions?
I think the first character that I created was Relly. And that was because I love my friend so much. And I always imagined these stories around him. And so it wasn't hard to come up with that, but it was very important for me because Relly is African-American that I also include that voice. So I did bring on another writer, Brittany Thurman, to collaborate with me on this book so that I could feel that the story was told in the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that. I'm just excited. I'm excited that young people can see themselves in a very authentic way and see themselves in theater and in the arts, to know that a life in the arts is possible. Because as a young person, I would have loved to have those kind of books of somebody that looked like me or had my last name in these stories to show that this is possible.
To go back to your family, your culture for a second. Yeah. So your father was Jewish, your mother was Mexican.
My father is Mexican.
Oh, your father is Mexican. Your
Jewish.
Mother is Jewish. So were you raised with a religion?
Yes, I was raised Jewish. So I had a bat mitzvah. I was the only person probably in Los Angeles that had a Tío Jesus come up on the bima and read during my Torah portion. But my parents met as pen pals during the Vietnam War. My father was drafted at 19, and my mom wanted to join the Peace Corps. She was 17. And her parents said, absolutely not. And she was from like the Valley in California, a more affluent family. And they met because my mom wrote to soldiers who didn't have anybody that was writing to them. And she met my dad, and they corresponded through a year that he was in Vietnam, and my mom kept all the letters. So, and she told me never to read them, that they were private, and she put them in the closet of our hall closet. And so, I'm like super nosy. And so I read most of the letters, but I got to learn a lot about them and their differences and how they grew up, but they fell in love. And when my dad came back from Vietnam, he left everything behind except his car, and he showed up on my mom's doorstep.
Aww.
And she was like, what?
So, I mean, not only your culture, but you were raised with two people their words meant everything. Their words crafted their life, essentially.
Absolutely. And at that time, it was the first time that my grandparents had really been around somebody who was Mexican and their family and that culture, and they were not accepting in the beginning, and they didn't want my parents to get married. And so my mom said, we're doing it. And they went and they eloped. They went to Reno. And then my father said, my mom didn't want to talk to her family again. And my dad said, this is your family, and we have to go and be a part of them. So I never knew any of this growing up because I grew up with an abuelita and a bubby. Like, I never knew that there were tensions or anything like that because of the love that they had for each other. But my father's love for family and tradition and doing what's right.
That's amazing that he pushed through and he made that happen. That's a real gift. That's a real gift.
Yeah, it is.
And now, our 5 questions. If we were to open your closet, is there a clothing or something that you will never get rid of because of the memories that it holds? It can be a piece of jewelry or anything that might be in your closet.
My Sparkle Jimmy Choo shoes. I bought those on an opening night, and it was the most expensive purchase I've ever done. And I can still wear those shoes, and I just feel like I don't know. I earned those shoes.
If there's no explanation necessary because they're sparkle Jimmy Choo shoes. That's it.
That's right.
There is no explanation necessary. Okay. If you could go back and talk to your teenage self, what advice would you give her?
You're on the right path. Keep going. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just keep going. You can do it.
Do you have a good luck charm or a ritual before you embark on something new or an opening night or?
Absolutely. I mean, aside from the fact that I missed the legacy robe ceremony on my first opening night, Dance of the Vampires.
What happened? What happened?
I didn't know about it. I didn't know that was like a thing. And so I was like probably going to the bathroom or like doing my makeup. And so did the show close because of my luck or was it the writing? I just don't know to this day. I am very superstitious. I wear my, to ward off evil. I have elephants. Ojo. Yes. Ojo de Dios. I have elephants everywhere. I'm very, very superstitious when I get into a new dressing room.
Why elephants?
It's something my dad always did. He always had elephants around our house where the tusks have to face toward the window and it's supposed to bring good luck.
Oh, wow. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah. So I do that. I also put coins at my doorways because my dad did that when we were kids. I don't know what it all means. Yes. Yeah. And I do that in my dressing rooms as well. So I have a lot of rituals.
Okay. If you could have any ability, what would it be?
I think to fly. Because I'm terrified of flying. I'm one of those people, like my absolute favorite album is Judy Garland live at Carnegie Hall.
Oh, come on.
And whenever the turbulence begins, I put it on because I feel like if I'm going down, I'm doing it right.
If you were a nail polish, what color would it be? And what's the cheeky little name that you would give them?
Oh my gosh. I would say, because I guess I talked about this with my daughter the other day. It's so random. Because we were playing Barbies. And she always makes me play the Barbie Jojo Siwa.
Oh, yes.
I don't know why. Like, that's the only Barbie I'm allowed to play with. I get to braid her hair all the time in different ways. But we decided that Jojo Siwa was coming to school for the first time, and she was going to be wearing bright pink with glitter. So I feel like I would be a bright pink nail polish with glitter, and the nail polish would be fearless.
Yeah, it would. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys. This was great. This was wonderful.
It was great. Continued strong health to you, baby.
Yes. Same.
Coming up next, what struck a chord with us? Right after a word from our sponsor. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Our theme song says, love where you are now, but sometimes we all need a little help. I've learned from therapy and in my yoga practice that growth comes from challenges. A good therapist can help you reframe the way you look at a challenge and your life. And BetterHelp can provide you with a therapist that gives you some tools to navigate. They offer customized online therapy, either on video or phone chat sessions. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can reach a therapist in under 48 hours. And right now, Stages cast members get 10% off their first month with BetterHelp, so don't wait. Remember, when you support our sponsors, you support Stages Podcast. So log on to BetterHelp, that's HELP.com/stages, and love where you are now.
That's Mandy Gonzalez.
She's lovely. She's such a bright light. She was beaming right through the computer, wasn't she?
I was going to totally say that. With every Zoom, the name pops up first, then you press the video, and she came on, and it really was like being splashed with a cup of water. She woke me up. You became alert. You were like, she is so bright.
Yes.
Like physically, and spiritually bright.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to be with her this morning.
Do you know her husband as well?
I do. He's an extraordinary painter. So he's a visual artist. It's just interesting when you are in the performing arts or in the arts in any way, and you go to work in Manhattan, but there are these like little sublets and suburbs around Manhattan where they're just beautiful families making life, making a living with the arts, but you get to see them at the at the plant store. You get to see them just running errands and curating a lovely life for themselves. And that's where I feel the deepest connection, is because now we get to see each other like in all the mirrors, well, not all the mirrors, but many mirrors of the disco ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get to see her as a pal, as a gardener, as a cook, as a woman of service. And when you get to see so many different angles of a human, that to me is where the respect just gets so deep.
Yeah. Yeah. She seems really, really lovely. It was interesting because she was talking about how the singing kind of saved her.
Yeah. You didn't have that outlet.
No, I didn't, because my vocal cord was paralyzed. But here's the really interesting thing. I was just telling this story because I taught a yoga thing last week. And I go through each chakra and I give usually a life example of the chakra. So chakra 5 is called Visuddha. It means purify, and it's your throat. And, the essence is sound and vibration. And so singing is what heals that area. And when your body is processing trauma or illness or anything, this is the chakra that helps heal it. So when she was going out on that stage and she was singing, she was literally processing the pain, the fear, the physical illness itself, the healing from the surgery, all of that comes up and meets in the throat. And then she's singing it out of her body. Yes. So she was actually healing herself by being able to compartmentalize where her head was and get out there and do the concerts.
I would, so I've spoken of my voice teacher, Jill Goodsell, who is, of course, like an angel, second mother mentor to me. But, when you take lessons with somebody for that long, you call in sick a lot, so I would miss school and I'd call and say, look, I can't come to my voice lesson. She'd say, well, what are you feeling? And I'd say, well, it's a headache and I just feel achy all over. And she'd say, no, you have to come. You have to come. If you're going to do anything, come to your voice lesson. I will sing. We will just sing on O's and oohs and ahs, and you will feel so much better. And it took a huge effort to kind of peel myself out of bed or peel myself off the couch to get there. But once there and once singing, I left that studio feeling so much better. And I still use that today. Like if I'm out of sorts or if I'm car sick, Seb will hear me going, pretending I'm singing through a straw, anything to get oxygen moving and to talk to my body. Do you know, you must, Deepak Chopra?
Of course.
His stuff? Yeah. And so I'm also a huge advocate of that. Like when I'm getting massage therapy, I'm talking to my body. I'm thanking it for all it's done.
Absolutely.
I'm talking to my cells that they are in divine order.
Absolutely.
And they're full and they're healthy and full of oxygen. And that sort of affirming all of the different, systems in your body, I believe it helps.
Our thoughts are so, so, so powerful. And when you can apply it like that to healing, it really does work. But even when we know what's good for us, like even if we know going to the voice class will help me feel better, getting up and doing a little yoga, doing a little Kundalini, let's breathe a little, will help me get out of this funk that I'm in. It's like the last thing you want to do, even though it's what you need to do. My husband will say often, like, come on, let's just go out and walk the dogs. Like if I'm in a mood and I know that's going to lift my mood. You just get out, you go walk the dogs, it'll lift your mood. Yet we resist. I don't understand the resistance. That's what I get.
Sabotage, I don't understand either.
Yeah. And everybody does it. We all do it. It's like, the little devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. And the angel's going, just go walk the dogs. Just go out in the woods. Just get a little negative ions going. And the devil on your shoulder's like, don't do that. Be grouchy. Go back to bed. Hide under the covers. I do it. I resist. I don't understand. But I think awareness is the first step to changing it, right? So if you practice awareness of like, I know this, I'm going to move on. I think that is the first step.
I remember in Annie Kaufman's interview, we were speaking about meditation and you're like, I'm terrible at it. I haven't even done yoga during most of the pandemic. Yeah. Can I ask why? I've been wanting to ask you why, because it's so much a part of who you are and you still live your life with an energy as if you are practicing yoga. So I've just been wanting to ask you this for months.
Yoga is not just the movements. Yoga is not just the asanas. Okay. And that's the part that I haven't been practicing, the actual physical asanas of yoga. But I try to practice all of the other facets of yoga daily, which is the understanding the energetic part of yourself, understanding the chakras, looking for where they are in my life, trying to become present, trying to be aware of my intentions behind my actions. That's all yoga still. That's the part that I practice more. I won't say I'm better at it because I have to work at it every day.
Right.
But when I taught this thing last Sunday, I was nervous because I had taught it maybe a year ago, and it's a 4-hour chakra intensive class. Wow. So it's me talking about the chakras for 4 hours, and we do a lot of movements. And I went in and I said, I'm just going to level with you guys. I'm like so out of shape. Everything's creaking just to get down to the floor. Like, I'm going to do my best. But once I got rolling, I was like, oh my God, I forgot how much I love it. And I think part of it is that resistance that we all keep doing to ourselves. But I also think we have to allow the ebb and flow in our life. If you are constantly working at something, you exhaust it. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes you have to give yourself permission to just go in and allow all the things you've learned or been through to process and germinate. Mm-hmm. Then when you step back out, you have a fresher perspective and you're able to learn something maybe even quicker. And you also practice the resilience of getting back into a pose. And you're shocked to how quickly you can touch those toes again, how quickly you can do that inversion again, even though you hadn't done it in so long, because the body wants to be well. Right. And so springs back really fast. And I just think I had to go inward for whatever reason. I had to take whatever energy the physical part of that takes, and I had to put it inside and process it somewhere else. And now that I'm talking about it, I think it had to do with creativity, because even though I had done small acts of creativity over the last few years, raising my son and going through all the things I've been through, I think I needed to take that physical energy and apply it to creativity for painting and then this podcast. And then now that I've got that ball rolling, I'm able to step back into the physical, I think, again.
It's interesting too, because when you find something you love to do and you have that outlet, but it is also your job, which perhaps you could look at yoga in that way for the last 17 years, being on Broadway, then it becomes almost perfunctory. Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the obligation of doing. Yeah. You still can recognize how lucky you are to be doing what you love to do and what you've been called to do and what you feel you're really great at and have that outlet. But when it becomes a have to, some of the joy seeps out. So stepping back to then reintroduce yourself to the joy of the doing it, I find to be beautiful. You said it's an ebb and flow, and that's exactly right. Sometimes whether that's 2 days away, 4 days away, 4 weeks away, then you step back into it and you go, hello, joy.
You
hello,
rediscover.
beauty. Of course. Yeah.
And I made a choice a while ago not to do things that make me want to sigh and roll my eyes. I remember because for a while I made the yoga jewelry. I did it for a long time. It was really fun. I met awesome people. I had a great time. And then one day someone commissioned a piece of jewelry and I sat down at the table and I went, ugh. Right. And then I said, I'm done with jewelry because I'm not going to do anything in this half of my life that makes me go, ugh. Right. I'm just not doing it anymore. I have to either find the joy in it or I'm moving into something new. And that's when I started painting. And then that's what led to all of this. So you have to honor that stuff.
You do.
Yeah.
I hope you don't go for another couple years with this one. Okay?
No way. I love this. This is too fun. I could do this podcast for years just to talk to people like that and then touch in and go, oh man. And it's amazing how often I think of our past guests. I think of almost all of them.
I do too.
A lot. They'll just pop in my mind and I'll think of as part of the conversation, be like, I'm so happy I had that conversation. Just to have the opportunity to talk to these people that have influenced my life in tiny ways and big ways.
Yeah.
I think it's like such a gift. I love what we're doing. I'm having a ball.
Me too. Me too. Well, I love you. You're such a gift. And I'll see you next week.
All right, girl. Love you. Bye.
Bye. So if this episode resonated with you, please follow, subscribe, and share.
You can always find us at stagespodcast.net. A big thank you goes out to our assistant and doer of all things technical, Saren Cho. Thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for our beautiful original music, Melanie Von Trapp for our Stages Podcast logo, Brock Grenfeld, our sound engineer, and Ellison Arns, our PR and social media expert.
And thank you, our cast members, for joining us today. We hope you come back next week.